Well, hello and welcome. Thank you all for joining us. My name is Reece, and I'm the marketing rep for AFC Vacations. We have some fantastic new trips to talk about today. This is a brand new show, something we haven't done to focus in on some specialties like Italy and Spain and all over Europe, but also some into Canada. And we are well into our 2023 travel year with departures heading out the door left and right. It's very exciting to see the long list of trips we have in the coming months to areas all over the world. And today our focus will be on international tours as well, exploring some wonderful tour offerings. So as I mentioned before, talking a lot about Europe, Canada as well, and then some unique other destinations. So what we are is a company that offers worldwide tours and cruises. We have a number of different travel styles, and whether it's a European river cruise, a tour of the national parks by motor coach, or a train trip, we pretty much cover it all. I was talking to Matt the other day. The only thing we're not offering yet is Antarctica, and that's hopefully to come down the line. Our one hotel stay is one of our most popular trips, and that allows you to unpack once and settle in at one hotel for your entire tour. And then what's included with AFC, as I've mentioned previously, is round-trip airfare. And we have some incredible tour managers. These are an unbelievable group of knowledgeable, helpful, and organized individuals. They really care about your experience, and they do everything they can, going above and beyond to make sure they take care of all of your needs on tour. Then the hotels, activities, and dining that we provide on tour give you a taste of local life. A lot of the meals incorporate regional specialties of the area, and we incorporate cultural experiences with many of our dinners, like the Fado show that I'll talk about in Portugal. Then the hotels we use are well located and very comfortable, and they included all sorts of amenities there. And we include sightseeing, which makes our trips memorable, and have guided commentary along the way. So these are guided group tours, fantastic experiences to meet new people. And AFC also offers some guarantees with our booking guarantees. Guaranteed departures, that is a list of trips that are going out the door. You'll see the symbol GD on our brochure as well as on our website when our group's specific departures are good to go. And then you'll also see guaranteed pricing. Now what that means is once you place your deposit on a tour, your price is locked in. So you don't have to worry about fuel surcharges or anything else that are fluctuating. Once you pay your deposit on a tour, you're secured with that price. And we also incorporate gateways from around the West Coast. So in our brochure, it shows all the different gateways that we incorporate. But if it's not listed, if you're interested in a tour and your gateway specifically is not listed, please give us a call. Dave in our air department does a great job handling all sorts of different departures. Now, what we're really about, though, is real people and real service. And we've been in business 41 years, and this is an excellent staff of folks that really do go above and beyond to make sure your experience is great. So from the time you book till you get back home, these people are here to take care of you and help you plan your trip along the way. Now, one of the key components to an AFC tour is home pickup. We pick you up at your door, take you to the airport, and bring you home afterwards. So we'll meet you back at baggage claim on arrival and take you home as well. And this is a service that we've been doing for over 25 years, something that separates us from other companies. And one of the components that we're offering new for 2023 is a home pickup credit if you decline the home pickup airport service. And that credit is good for $100 per person. So if you're traveling with a spouse or travel companion to and from the airport, that could save you $50 each way. And that's great to use on a meal out on tour. So as we do these shows, we try to provide some additional savings available to you. And if you book a new tour or cruise or river cruise by Friday, February 24th of this year, so just in the next week, we'll reduce the deposit for you. So generally our deposit is $350 and we'll reduce that down to $250. So you're putting up less money up front. We'll also take $20 off your travel insurance if you pay with your deposit. So this is only available to show attendees. Then our early booking savings is available to you as well. So if you're the first 1 to 10 passengers booked on a tour, you automatically save $100. If you're the 11th through 20th passenger, you'll save $75. Now, through the end of the month, we've extended this additional offer. And if you're the first 21 through 50th passenger on a tour, you're automatically going to save $50 off your trip. And this is an offer good through the end of February. The rest are all good through February 24th. And the last one is a one cabin category upgrade. We have space on just one river cruise left this year, and that's our October 25th Burgundy Provence River Cruise. So traveling along the Rhone. And I'll talk quite a bit about that trip coming up. But again, you must use the savings code ABROAD when you make your booking so they know you booked from the show. Now, the first trip I'll talk about is the Switzerland and Christmas markets of the Rhine. I'll kind of briefly cover this as this one's nearly sold out. There's just a handful of spots left. But this is one of the best times to be in Europe just before the holiday season. And you can do all your Christmas shopping at the markets of Europe. So we sail on the Amadeus Imperial. That is a new ship that launched in 2020. And our river cruises are very popular. This one will sell out completely in the next week or so. So if you're interested in traveling on it, please don't wait to book. I can't emphasize that enough. There are less than 10 cabins available at this time. But we fly into Zurich, Switzerland, and make our way to Lucerne for a night. And this beautiful town sits right on this gorgeous lake with the mountains in the background. And we enjoy a guided walking tour of the Chapel Bridge and Old Town, and then end up at the Christmas market there for some time at leisure. So have some lunch there and get some shopping done. Then our ship meets us up in Strasbourg, and that combines the best of German and French cultures. It's an amazing city with its Notre Dame Cathedral and all sorts of fun holiday decorations. And there we do a walking tour that wraps up at the cathedral and time at the markets. And there are multiple markets throughout that area. We enjoy an afternoon of some cruising aspects that make the Rhine great, and that is getting to see those beautiful German castles. And then our arrival in Koblenz gives us a chance to do a walking tour in the afternoon and a Christmas market at night, which has a little bit more vibrancy to it. A really great experience there. And one of my biggest highlights is the small town of Kokum. And this sits on the Moselle River. So we take a little offshoot onto the Moselle, which is surrounded by vineyards. And this is where we visit Reichsburg Castle up on the hill overlooking town with our city tour. We also include a wine tasting along the Moselle River, which is home to some amazing German Riesling and Pinot Noir. But we wrap up this cruise with a stop in Cologne, one of the great German cities and home to the most famous cathedral in all of Germany. And Cologne was originally a trading port for seafood and more. So you'll see a lot of that in the Old Town, where the market was, and then heading up to the cathedral itself. And that's where we'll break off for an afternoon at leisure. So whether you want to spend time at the Christmas markets, do some extra shopping, or work your way over to one of the great museums in Cologne, like the Ludwig Museum or the Chocolate Museum. Both are great stops. Now, on our chartered river cruises, we include free wine, beer, and soft drinks with dinners. These are hand-selected wines available to you. And we also offer free Wi-Fi on our cruises. So great options there. This one takes off November 29th. Now, our Burgundy and Provence River Cruise. This is a trip that features 7 nights aboard the Amadeus Provence, and that was built in 2017. Holds less than 140 passengers, and so space is limited. These river cruises are great in that they really do provide that close-knit feel. So limited passengers compared to a big cruise ship on the oceans, and there are only 8 suites available on board, and 2 of those are already taken up, so make sure you book as soon as possible. They're much more spacious, and the balcony doors allow for an open-air journey along this spectacular river of the Rhone. And we include round-trip air in and out of Lyon. That makes for a very convenient travel day. This gives you a great shot of the ship itself, as well as some of the cabin styles. So up top on the right side is the suite with that open door. And then the bottom right is the categories A and B. This allows for a drop-down window, so it really does open up to fresh air and kind of feels like you're expanding your cabin that way. But on board we have the River Terrace, and here are some of the public spaces available. River Terrace is on the bow of the ship, just ahead of the lounge, so that's a great outdoor area to relax and grab a drink. And then the Amadeus Club, which is a wonderful area indoors to enjoy a book or chat with friends. And so one of the main areas that we gather as a group is the lounge that sits right above the restaurant. And in the lounge each night, they have live entertainment, whether it's the cruise director doing trivia or the entertainers, the musicians that are on board, providing great excitement. Now, our first port of call is the city of Macon, and this is where we include a walking tour, and it sits right on the bank of the Rhone. So Macon is a beautiful layout, flat and easy to get around, with all sorts of historic buildings there, and many park areas as part of town. A great museum as well, and these are just some of the main points of this fantastic French city. Now, this is also the hub of the Mâconnais region, and that brings us into Burgundy. So Burgundy is home to both red and white wines. This is one of the most popular wine regions in all of Europe. Northern part of the Burgundy area is near Dijon. They produce a little bit more reds, while the southern portion near Lyon has a higher percentage of white wines. But they swap grapes and produce it all in each of the regions. Now, after our city tour, we include an excursion through the vineyards to a wine tasting experience to enjoy some of this Burgundy wine. Our next stop was an unknown delight, and I came out here in 2018, had a beautiful trip, and this is the town of Beaune. And our city tour of this walled city incorporates that true French feel of a great town with so much history. As well, we get to see an area called the Hôtel Dieu. This was built in 1443 as a poor hospital. And so we tour the entire facility, get to see this amazing artwork, as well as the architecture itself and its polychrome roof and amazing design. But this hospital was overseen by the Holy See, so some great history there. Then from there, we work our way out and have a couple of trips that are optional tours. One is to Cormetin and Brancion. Cormetin is this gorgeous chateau overlooking a moat and a gorgeous garden in the back. So if you're a gardener, this place is for you. Inside the chateau itself is incredible artwork dating back to medieval times. And then Brancion sits up on the hillside overlooking the valley. Amazing views as well, some great little village, kind of charming village-esque. So a great trip that we incorporate there. And then the city of Lyon. Now, our city tour takes us up to the Lyon Cathedral. It's pictured here. That sits up above the hill, looking down over town. And this is a Roman Catholic church up on the hill overlooking the river itself. And construction took place about 1100, and it took about 300 years to complete, as you can imagine. We also see the Old Town in Lyon, and this is one of my favorite parts. This takes you along paved old streets and colorful facades of houses dating to the Renaissance. We make our way then to the town of Avignon, otherwise known as the City of Popes, and over 7 popes lived here in the 14th century. We include the Bridge of Avignon as well as the Palace of the Popes with a guided walking tour and dock right in town so it's easy to explore. The following day we head to Arles, and that's a gem on this river. So a very quaint southern French town with a Roman amphitheater. One of our optional trips also takes us to the Camargue National Park, and this is incredible wildlife. They have wild horses, flamingos, and so many species of birds, but it truly is a wetland area. So great spot to see with all these different animals. And then we also take you to the Ardèche Gorge, and this is a great location, a beautiful setting as well right on the river there. And we wrap up heading off to the town of Arles. And Arles is a gem on this river, very quaint southern French town with a Roman amphitheater that rivals the Colosseum in Rome. This is an outstanding site to visit, and we go inside and see it all. On our final day abroad, you can choose to relax and enjoy the river cruising or take an optional. So great chance to balance out your vacation. So here's a little glimpse into our river cruise experience. Now you can also choose to extend your journey for a 2-night optional that takes you up to the City of Lights in Paris. And this features a city tour of both Dijon. And as we make our way north into the city of Paris, we do a city tour that features sites like the Notre Dame, the Louvre, and the Eiffel Tower. And we also include a cruise on the Seine River, just a small portion of it, so you get a different perspective of town. And then the afternoon is free at leisure. And so Paris is a great place to go enjoy one of their great museums like the Musée d'Orsay or the Louvre. And then you can also go out to the Champs-Élysées, this beautiful roadway, and grab a glass of wine, enjoy the people watching. It's another great spot to do. So this cruise departs October 25th, and that is led by Deb Howard, fantastic tour manager. Again, October 25th, Deb Howard doing the Rhone River, Burgundy and Provence. Now we have some great Canadian tours that I'll touch on briefly. First is our Great Canadian Cities Tour, and this focuses on Montreal, Quebec, Toronto, and Niagara Falls. We get to see the 1,000 islands, these small little islands between New York and Canada. And this is a 9-day, 8-night program and highlights the best of Eastern Canada. Then our Nova Scotia program in the Maritimes is a spectacular trip starting and ending in Halifax. So on arrival, you'll stay 1 night in the Halifax area and then make your way to Cape Breton. And this is where we visit the Alexander Graham Bell Museum. That's a phenomenal museum overlooking the lake. And Bell was an inventor, scientist, teacher, and family man. He actually started his career as a teacher of the hearing impaired and created Canada's first powered flight, the world's fastest watercraft, and of course the telephone. Then we stay 2 nights in Quebec, and it's considered as the start and end of the Cabot Trail. That trail is a 186-mile highway that weaves its way through the Highlands National Park. And you'll get great views of the valley and coast as we make our way through some of the most gorgeous coastline. This is considered one of the world's most scenic destinations. It's got old-growth forests, prehistoric rock formations dating to the last glacial period. Now, leaving Quebec, we head towards Prince Edward Island and take the ferry, then stay in Charlottetown. And one of the highlights is the Anne of Green Gables Heritage Site. It's the house that inspired the books. You'll visit the College of Piping on this tour. That has students performing bagpipe music with Celtic dance in a brief demonstration. And then enjoy a lobster dinner in Charlottetown at a specialty seafood restaurant. And the following day, we'll cross the Confederation Bridge to New Brunswick and see the Hopewell Rocks with the largest tides in the world. It's got incredible rock formations there that are only found in that spot. We spend 1 night in Moncton and have dinner included, and our local guide takes us through Old Town Lunenburg, and that is one of 2 urban communities in North America designated as UNESCO World Heritage Site. Gorgeous, colorful houses, and it's known as the prettiest town in Canada. In Halifax, we stay downtown and include a city tour to see the Harbourfront and Citadel, then make our way to Peggy's Cove and see the famous lighthouse. So we have 2 departures this summer with July 22nd and August 12th. Both are guaranteed to go. And our Canadian Rockies and Glacier National Park tour includes round-trip air into Calgary, and that's the largest city in Alberta, Canada. So Calgary is home to the famous Stampede Rodeo. That takes place in July and runs about 10 days. But we first head out to Head Smashed In Buffalo Jump, and we make our way to this World Heritage Site. The site itself is over 6,000 years old, and it's where the Blackfeet tribe used to run buffalo off a 300-foot cliff during their hunting practices. From here, we head to Waterton Lakes. That's been a protected site since 1895, and Waterton was Canada's 4th national park. It's the smallest in the Rockies at 195 square miles. Here you get to see clear lakes, diverse wildlife, and beautiful surrounding mountains. And we continue from there into Montana and stay 1 night at the Glacier Park Lodge. Now, this is one of the least visited areas due to its remote location. In 1850, there were an estimated 80 glaciers in what would become Glacier National Park. And in 2015, they estimated about 26, meet that size criteria. So it's a land of mountain ranges carved by prehistoric ice rivers, featuring alpine meadows, deep forests, waterfalls, and over 200 sparkling lakes. Then you'll also enjoy the Red Jammer Car, and this is a ride that takes you over the scenic highway across the Continental Divide. We end that at Lake McDonald before heading over to Kalispell, Montana for an overnight stay. We work our way through the beautiful red walls of Sinclair Canyon and Radium Hot Springs as we visit Kootenai National Park en route to Banff. And Kootenai is a smaller park. It was created in 1920, very similar to Yellowstone with its hot springs, fountain pots, and much, much more. And Banff sits in western Alberta, about 36 miles from Lake Louise. And the town developed after the arrival of the Canadian Pacific Railway. And the park itself was established in 1887. So it's famous for vibrant lakes, majestic mountains, and easy access to all sorts of outdoor activities. And Banff is a year-round tourist hub with hot springs, skiing, and many museums nearby. We see the gorgeous Lake Louise with its shimmering water surrounded by epic mountains. And you'll take the Banff gondola up to the top of Sulphur Mountain, and that has a view of about 6 different mountain ranges and the valley below. The Athabasca Glacier is a vision of ice as far as the eye can see. And as part of this trip, you'll take the Athabasca Glacier Explorer and have a chance to walk on an ancient glacier surrounded by the Rocky Mountains. So this is an all-encompassing trip to the Canadian Rockies, and I highly recommend this program. 3 departures this year, June, July, and August. Now, Colorful Costa Rica is an exotic discovery tour and one of my highest recommended trips. I went out here in 2013 and absolutely fell in love with Costa Rica, came back in 2019 and still felt the same. Now, as a destination, Costa Rica is magical. What's not to love about wildlife, coffee, coastal beaches, and national parks? And of course, the Costa Rican beer for those warm days. So this is a 9-day program with 8 nights, and we incorporate 14 meals altogether. We have 2 different departures, October 18th and November 1st. And you'll fly round trip into San Jose and get 1 night at the Crowne Plaza. Then we head to the Paus Volcano, and this is where we drive through a scenic valley to a coffee plantation as well. Now, the coffee plants grow exceptionally well in volcanic soil, and these beans are actually hand-picked. Then you'll taste some chocolate-covered coffee beans and the delicious coffee, and this is a great stop to bring back some souvenirs from. We then make our way to Paus Volcano National Park, and it's almost a mile across from in that volcano, in the crater, and it's home to the largest geyser crater in the entire world. So Costa Rica's best-known souvenir is a miniature ox cart, and ox carts are a national symbol as they were used to carry goods by ox along dirt roads for so many years. We visit the town of Sarchi, and that's home to the world's largest ox cart, or at least it was the largest when I visited in 2013. And you can see it pictured in the bottom left corner, very colorful and vibrant. Sarchi is the handicraft capital with family-run stores, and another reason to visit this charming town is for its unusual church. It's actually painted pink and blue. But it was built in the 1950s and has 2 towers that sit on a hill overlooking the town. You'll then still stay 2 nights in the Arenal area, and that's an incredible spot. We stay at either the Arenal Paraíso or the Montana del Fuego and enjoy a welcome dinner together as a group. On day 3, that is at leisure, and La Fortuna is the area we're going to be in. This has great shopping and 12 thermal springs, along with great walking trails. And I highly recommend the thermal springs. I've never been more relaxed in my life. Have a drink in a warm tub. It's amazing. So from La Fortuna, we take a journey up to Arenal National Park, and it's got all sorts of exotic wildlife and landscape. Arenal volcano erupted in 1968 and again in 2010, so we should have a good 30 years or so before it lets off some steam. Then you'll check into your hotel in Monteverde, and otherwise it's known as the Cloud Forest because it's located above the clouds. Here we see the famous hanging bridges and make a stop at the butterfly garden with over 50 species of butterfly. Then it's off to the central Pacific coast in the town of Jaco. It's known for its beaches, incredible sunsets, and close proximity to a lot of these national parks. Now, Manuel Antonio is one of the most amazing parks in the world, and you'll see sloths, capuchin, and other monkey species, and plenty of birds. It's really one of the most unique places to visit as we walk through the park. Day 8, you won't need to bring your Crocs because they'll be everywhere, and crocodiles is what I mean. We take you on a crocodile adventure among the mangrove trees. It's one of the best surf breaks in the world at the end of the river, but I would never be that bold to surf there. This safari introduces you to the species in a safe environment. We travel along and see all these different crocodiles popping their heads up through the water. Then we'll travel back to San Jose for a last night and join an optional extension, which goes 2 nights out to Tortuguera National Park. And this is a stunning location out on the Atlantic side or the Caribbean side of Costa Rica. And it's known as the Amazon of Costa Rica. So wonderful program, 2 departure dates coming up here in the fall. Iceland is becoming one of the biggest destinations in the world for travelers. And this has popped up as one of the top visited sites in the last 10 to 15 years. And it really does offer so much to the traveler. And we arrive into Reykjavik, that's the main hub there, and stay 5 nights at one hotel. We have a local guide, and this is a great base of operations to see all that Iceland has to offer. Over the years, there's been a massive growth of construction in Reykjavik to match that influx of visitors. So they've kept up with the times. And on arrival, you'll enjoy a Reykjavik city tour and visit the National Museum of Iceland. It's got artifacts dating to 800 when the settlement first began. Then we have a welcome dinner included that day, and you'll enjoy a Golden Circle tour. And that's where we enjoy some of the geyser features and the Golden Falls. You'll learn about the bread made using the heat from geothermal activity and get to see the Thingvellir National Park. And this is an incredible spot. This park is a natural wonder of the world. We have a day at leisure to explore Reykjavik or join an optional whale watching tour. And there are whales cruising along the coast all the time. Now, the next day, we take you on a tour of the south coast of the island, and that's where you see Skogar Folk Museum. So these museums focus on the Nordic life, the homes they lived in, and the clothing of the Icelandic people, and celebrate their heritage. From here, we continue to one of the largest waterfalls in Iceland at a width of 82 feet and dropping 200 feet from top to bottom. That's Skogafoss. Now, foss means falls. On our final full day, we enjoy the home of Iceland's president, as well as an ancient site which was settled in the year 1000. And you'll make your way then to the Viking Ship Museum and learn about the plundering pirates of this part of the world. Then you'll see a reconstruction of a warship from the Viking Age. And last but not least, one of the other highlights of this trip is a visit with entry to the Blue Lagoon. So this is Iceland's most well-known site, and this is where the geothermal activity is put to use in mineral baths. So such a relaxing setting. But this tour departs June 7th and October 4th. Now, England, Scotland, and Wales is an incredible spot to see. And you'll visit the British Isles to learn about one of the most powerful monarchies in the entire world, the British Empire. We'll start in the north as we fly into Edinburgh. I can't tell you how many friends I made in Edinburgh just by pulling up a stool to the bar. The Scottish are some of the most friendly people in the world with a great sense of humor. On our city tour, we see the Palace of the Holyrood House, and that was home to Mary Queen of Scots from 1561 to 1567. We see Edinburgh Castle with the Scottish Crown Jewels and enjoy some scotch at the Scotch Whisky Experience. And we'll stay 2 nights in Edinburgh before crossing into England and visit the Cathedral City of York. Then you'll visit Anne Hathaway's cottage and garden and Shakespeare's birthplace in Stratford-upon-Avon. And then you'll enter your third country, and that is Wales. You'll enjoy a city tour in Cardiff and the National Museum before spending some time at the Cardiff Castle. One of the most famous sites in Great Britain is Stonehenge, and this is the best-known prehistoric stone circle in the world. So you'll spend then 2 nights in the city of London and see Kensington Palace, the Tower of London, and Trafalgar Square. And you'll be taken on a city tour that also features Westminster Abbey, Big Ben, and if time permits, the changing of the guard at Buckingham Palace. So this incredible itinerary hits the main attractions and the best of Great Britain. We have only one departure in 2023 with October 4th, and it is guaranteed to go. So don't miss out on this wonderful trip if England, Scotland, and Wales is on your list. Treasures of Ireland. It's been years since I've been able to get out there, but this is one of my favorite destinations as well. This gem on the Green Isle is a spectacular trip to see the Republic of Ireland. We also have an extension to the North Ireland areas. But we arrive in the city of Dublin and stay 2 nights there, including a city tour. And there you'll see the post office with remnants of the Irish uprising against the British in 1916. This lasted about 6 days with the goal of Irish independence. And you'll see the Book of Kells at Trinity College and its collection of 1,200-year-old documents. We then head over to a distillery to try one of the Irish specialties, and that is whiskey. And that night we include dinner at a pub to really enjoy this destination. Before leaving Dublin, we visit one of the most famous sites, and that is the Guinness Storehouse. And that's where you'll learn how to pour a perfect Guinness. You'll make your way from there over to Limerick, and that was home to the story Angela's Ashes during the potato famine. There you'll see St. Mary's Cathedral, King John's Castle, and much, much more. That night we also include a special treat, and that is dinner at Bunratty Castle. This experience will take you back in time to the medieval period, and that's where kings and queens ruled. You'll enjoy dinner with your fellow guests in the magnificent banquet room, and this is a spectacular show. From here, we continue out to 2 of my favorite sites in Ireland, and that is the Cliffs of Moher and Galway. Now, the limestone cliffs sit high above the Atlantic Ocean on the west coast of Ireland, and you'll see the blend of the green grass and the stone with its incredible views. Then in Galway, our city tour takes us through this university town with its lively energy, and we see St. Nicholas Cathedral and Eyre Square before coming back to Limerick. We'll get to take you over to Ireland's prettiest village, and that is Adare. And then you'll arrive in Killarney for a jaunting car experience through the national park. And there you'll see relics of the old days and hear stories from the Muckross House, one of Ireland's most popular attractions, and it has furnishings from the 19th century. The following day, we take you on a scenic drive along the Ring of Kerry and learn about the peat bogs, the stone fences, and hear about some of the local celebrities like Daniel O'Connell and Gregory Peck. Then we travel to Kilkenny and have some free time in this medieval town, and then check into your castle for a stay near Dublin before flying home. And as I mentioned, we have a 2-night extension to the north in Belfast, and that incorporates the Giant's Causeway as well as the Titanic Museum. So our first departure has already sold out. That's March 14th. But we have April, October, and November departure dates available. Spain and Portugal. What an incredible place to be. Start your journey by flying into Portugal in the city of Lisbon. Now, this departure takes off both March 23rd and November 2nd. So if you miss out on the spring departure, there's still one in the fall. And going in November 2nd will be Chris McCool, and he's the tour manager for that departure. But after years as a sailing power, Portugal reached its peak in 1815 and had a reach of over 4 million square miles. So the capital city has so much to offer. It's got wonderful climate year-round, a beautiful bay with a bridge almost identical to the Golden Gate. And here you can see pictured this amazing town of Lisbon. We incorporate that city tour to get a great chance to see the entire town. Then we also have an afternoon at leisure in Lisbon as well. A couple of the sites that we see on our city tour are the Geronimo's Monastery. This is one of the most important attractions in all of Lisbon. And the Tower of Belém. And that's another highlight of your tour. Going on the north bank of the Tagus River, this tower was used to defend the city and built in the early 1500s. And then you'll have the afternoon at leisure to explore or go to one of the great museums of the Alfama district. And then we take you to a fado show and welcome dinner. Now, in Portuguese, the word fado means fate, but you probably know it as a traditional music genre. Its roots are in the Alfama district, and that's where you can still hear many fado performances today. Now, fado songs are usually connected to the feeling of nostalgia and yearning for something or someone. That's why most lyrics are about broken hearts and lost sailors at sea. But this is truly a cultural experience you won't forget. We head about 90 minutes to the east of Lisbon and head over to the town of Évora. Not only is it home to an incredible Roman ruin, but this beautiful 12th century cathedral and a wonderful cuisine, almost Tuscan-like. We'll visit Évora en route to another beautiful city, and that is as we cross into Spain and the town of Seville. So beautiful plaza here in Seville. This is the fourth largest city in Spain and a blend of culture, politics, and art. As the capital of Andalusia, it's home to a prominent public square that you can see here, beautiful cathedrals, and Real Alcazar. So we spend 2 nights in Seville, complete with the city tour and flamenco show. Now, Seville is the third largest cathedral in the world, after St. Peter's in Rome, St. Paul's in London. This is also the location of the tomb of Christopher Columbus. So we work our way over here. Then we make our way over to our flamenco show. And this fiery dance is one of Spain's great cultural hallmarks. It brings together 3 elements: rhythm, song, and dance. We enjoy a wonderful dinner with wine as we watch the dancers and musicians wow us. From there, we make our way over to Granada, and this destination is spectacular. So Granada is home of the Alhambra, and the town itself was the final stronghold of the Moors, held until 1492, when the Catholic monarchs conquered their area. Now, for most people, the highlight is this beautiful palace, the Alhambra, and in Arabic, that means Red Castle. So it's located on the top of the hill of Al-Sabiqa. The first historical documents known date from about the 9th century. From there, we work our way over to Toledo. And up until 1560, Toledo held the title of capital of Spain. And that's a melting pot of Judaic, Christian, and Islamic cultures. Toledo steel and swords have long been famous and mentioned as far back as the 1st century. Toledo is also known as one of the original producers of marzipan, as far back as 850. Marzipan is that mix of almonds and sugar blended in as filling for chocolate. Then we enjoyed 2 nights in the beautiful city of Madrid. And this is a major cultural capital in Europe with amazing works of art, wonderful food, and great entertainment. And we have some fantastic departures for this tour. So Spain and Portugal highlights. Now, Tuscan culinary experience. This is a great tour for folks that have been to Italy before. It really narrows down into the region of Tuscany, but a great opportunity to learn about the food, the life, the culture, and everything around that area. But this focuses on the heart of the country in the hills of Chianti, with short distances to each of our sites, and we have a 1 hotel stay. So great 7-night experience at 1 hotel to settle in. We enjoy a full day of touring in the city of Florence, and that's where our morning tour includes the Accademia. Now, the Accademia is where Michelangelo's David is located. So we have entry into the museum. We also get to see the statues, the prisoners. Those were also of Michelangelo. Then we walk along the Duomo, which is Florence's cathedral, and the baptistry as well. And that's where we learn a little bit about the difference between the artistic Renaissance and the architectural Renaissance. We then make our way over to the river of Arno, and that's where we walk along the Ponte Vecchio. That is Florence's old bridge and the last remaining bridge from before World War II. Now, outside of Florence, we incorporate a cooking class to try your hand at homemade pastas, winery tours focusing on 2 styles of wine, that's Chianti and Brunello, and our Brunello tasting is done in Montalcino. So that's where a sommelier walks us through the tasting and traditions of this famous region. We incorporate lunch at the saffron producing farmhouse, and that's just on the outskirts of San Gimignano, and visit both that city of towers as well as Siena's Il Palio, this famous horse race. And you'll enjoy a 30-minute lake cruise out to Isola Maggiore, and that is on Lake Trasimeno. That's where we have lunch, dessert, and coffee at a nice, relaxing setting. So as we move through, I'll give you a couple of glimpses into this trip. On the left-hand side, this is the city of Florence. And not only is it a gorgeous town during the daytime, very easy to get from one end of town to the other by walking. Then on the right is the outskirts of San Gimignano and this beautiful hillside. From there, the photo on the left, this is Siena, and this beautiful town built up on the hillside in Tuscany with its famous slanted center, city square, and then the cathedral that sits up at the top of the hill. That took over 6 centuries to build and was stopped many times with the plagues during the 13 and 1400s. But it's beautiful in architecture, both white and black marble. On the right-hand side, we do a cooking class, and here's just a few photos from the cooking class when I ran this in October of last year. So we go to a great destination which serves us plenty of wine, and we do some fantastic pasta making. We continue from there. We go out to the areas of Montalcino and Pienza and do a cheese tasting, and that's where we learn about pecorino cheese. That is sheep's cheese. That's focused on the left. And then on the right, this is our setting just outside of San Gimignano for our saffron lunch. So great opportunity to enjoy a great meal and one of the most expensive spices in the world with saffron. And our host is a wonderful lady that's lived there for years and years, and she talks us through the saffron production. Then from there, it's over to Lake Trasimeno, and this is a wonderful area, site of one of the most famous battles of Hannibal. And we take you out to Isola Maggiore, which is this small little island right in the middle. This is a little fishing village, but up on the hillside is a gorgeous church, and we have lunch right there on the water. So a wonderful place to wrap up the tour. And this was our group photo at the end. So we had a blast on that trip last year. Can't recommend this tour enough. This takes off March, October, and November. Then Italy's Amalfi Coast. What a spectacular destination. So this is a Mediterranean paradise. The Amalfi is one of the most stunning coastlines in the entire world. And we fly into Rome and then spend 5 nights in the Sorrento area. We make the famous drive down the coastline in a small coach and see the towns of Positano and many others. We incorporate a limoncello tasting on this one, and that's at the right temperature, makes for a great treat. But the limoncello is made out of citrus, out of the lemons that come from nearby trees, and so really does make for a specialty there. We also have a cheese tasting incorporated, and that's done in Positano, and that is home to mozzarella cheese. So mozzarella is a southern Italian specialty. And we offer 2 optional days on this trip, one to the Isle of Capri, which is one of the most beautiful sites anywhere in the world, and the other is to the city of Naples, and that's where pizza is king. One of the other highlights on this tour is our visit to Pompeii, and that's where you'll learn about the eruption of Mount Vesuvius and the difference of preservation between Herculaneum and Pompeii. This tour offers the best of the Italian coast and some delicious food along the way. March 21st is already at the guaranteed status, so that's good to go out the door. And October 24th is our fall departure for this. Both wonderful times to go and great sightseeing incorporated. Now, we also offer an extension up to Rome for 2 nights, and that incorporates a Rome city tour as well as a tour of the Vatican. So take a look at that if you're interested. If you've been to Italy before, the Amalfi Coast and the culinary Tuscany are great experiences. And this program is for folks that haven't been to Italy before. So if you're first time going over there and wanting to see the most, this is a wonderful program for that. So we unpack twice. We first arrive into Florence and stay 5 nights in the town of Montecatini. And this is a small resort town just to the west of Florence. And it's known for its spas, primarily because on the top of the hill is a hot spring that runs its water down into the spa locations. So great spa treatments available there. And then very similar components to our time on the culinary program, but we actually go to Lucca and Pisa on this tour. Now, Pisa is famous for the Leaning Tower, and Lucca is famous as a medieval walled city. Easy to walk around the walls or bike, and it's a great bike-friendly town. From there, we also go to San Gimignano, which is the town of towers. Originally about 20 medieval towers there, and through the wars, about 6 or 7 have been knocked down. Siena, as I mentioned before, home of the famous horse race Il Palio in that slanted city center. And then we also work our way down to Assisi on this tour. So learn about St. Francis of Assisi and his life and get to see the beautiful cathedral there. Then we do 2 nights in the city of Rome, the Eternal City, incorporating a city tour, focusing on the Colosseum and so much more. And then also a tour of the Vatican museums. And this is where the Pope lived in the Vatican, still current Pope living there today. But wonderful program, November 1st, and this is a guaranteed departure. So 9 days and 10 meals included. Athens and the Greek Isles, another beautiful spot on the Mediterranean, in the Aegean Sea, truly. But it's on so many people's bucket lists, and now that international travel is that much easier, this tour does book up. So both departures, May 2nd and October 10th, are already guaranteed. Athens is the historic capital of Europe, and its history stretches over 3,400 years. Its climate is superb with the legendary Greek sunlight overlooking the sea. And on our city tour, we incorporate Syntagma Square, otherwise known as Constitution Square. And the square is named after the constitution that Otto, the first king of Greece, granted. Then we see the massive Temple of Zeus, the most important building in the Altis, and it's the largest temple in the Peloponnese region. We go to the Olympic Stadium, and that is the ground that the original Olympics took place in. And originally, people sat on the ground on a rectangular-shaped track. And then in the 2nd century, they changed the track to a horseshoe shape. And for the first modern Olympics in the 1800s, they built up a stadium incorporating 50,000 capacity. And this was built from the marble from the nearby mountain where the stone from the Acropolis came from. On our city tour, we also see the Acropolis, this famous hill that the Parthenon was built on as a shrine to Athena. And the temple was completed in 438, and so a wonderful sight to see. Then we go to the Acropolis Museum, and that's where walls of ancient pottery and statues line the gallery. Now below you are glass floors that make excavation visible, so you can actually see the excavations taking place. And many of the artifacts found in the museum date back to 500 BC. Now, Plaka is one of my favorite neighborhoods in Athens, a great spot to see in the shadow of the Acropolis, and it's like a village within the city. So this is the oldest section of Athens. Mykonos is our first destination in the islands. Now, one of the benefits to taking our program is that this is different from a cruise experience, where cruises only spend about 8 hours at a time in each port. Here we stay 2 nights in both Mykonos and 2 nights in Santorini. So you really do get the feel of the islands. And this is one of the most spectacular spots to see it. So Mykonos is a famous port and island, and the village of Chora. Then you also have Little Venice. And during the 13th through 18th century, the Venetians actually ruled this island chain. So a lot of Italian themes and inspiration incorporated there. Little Venice is also the most popular spot on the island for sunset, but I always recommend grabbing a dinner reservation to avoid the crowds. Then we work our way over to the island of Delos, and Delos is an archaeological site that we have a guided tour of. And then from there, we work our way to Santorini, and this is probably one of the most popular and most famous islands in all of the world. So it's known since ancient times as Thera. It's one of the most famous islands, and you can sit in front of the caldera, enjoying a local dish, a drink, or coffee, and gaze out at the beautiful scenery as well as that active volcano. So we incorporate a walking tour of Ia, and the following day you'll have a free day to pick and choose activities or relax. Then we have grapevines that have been growing there for centuries, and today some 40 local grape varietals grow on Santorini. Most of the tastings on the island are predominantly white wines, and we do incorporate a wine tasting here. Then we'll return to Athens by ferry and fly out the following day, or we have a 3-night extension up to the north, and we start out by heading up to Kalambaka. This is home of the site Meteora, and there were originally about 12 monasteries there. Today there's about 6 remaining, and we get to see 2 of those. And within the monasteries, there's about 17 monks and 50 nuns that work and live there. From Kalambaka, we continue down to Delphi, and this is where the oracles are from. They could tell you your future. And then Delphi is also home of the Temple of Apollo. So incredible sights there. Not only the temple, the amphitheater, and also this beautiful, magnificent valley. And then we wind back down to Athens for last night before flying out. So 2 departures, May 2nd and October 10th on this tour. And then we look at Alpine Swiss Villages as a very extensive program focusing on the small villages of Switzerland. And on this program, we work our way from Zurich and down into the town of Bern. And that's where we see the famous clock tower. From Bern, we're over to Lauterbrunnen. And this is where we take the Kagway rail up to Wengen and stay 6 nights at one hotel. It's a beautiful resort on the hillside overlooking the mountains. From Wengen, each day we take different modes of transportation. So this is unlike any other tour you've been on. In that area, we go to a lot of smaller villages to focus on local life. We get to see Brienz, Lake Brienz by Lake Cruz. Then we work our way over to Grindelwald and Gimmelwald. They sit at the base of the Eiger Mountain, and the Eiger is one of the most difficult rock climbing mountains in the world. Now, we also offer an optional trip out to Zermatt, and that is home of the Matterhorn, made famous by Walt Disney. And so this is where the Olympic teams train for skiing pretty much year-round, because in July they have a solid pack of snow still. So wonderful opportunity to go down there, and this is a great village as well in Zermatt. But this tour takes off July 19th and August 16th. July 19th is with Jeremy West, and August 16th with Chris McCool. Fiji Islands and small ship cruising. This is a great program to get out to the South Pacific. And we focus 7 nights on a beautiful cruise. And this takes us to the town of Nandi to start out with. This is one of the largest cities on the largest island in Fiji. So we'll start out there and make our way out by catamaran to the Malamala Beach Club. This is where you can borrow snorkeling equipment or any kind of water activities and make your way out on the water, or just take a day to relax as you come in. We work our way over to the Garden of the Sleeping Giant Botanical Garden. This is a gorgeous destination on arrival. And then from there, we board a beautiful cruise ship and make our way through the island chain, stopping in places like Modriki Island, and that's where Castaway was actually filmed. And then each of these islands are very small, quiet, desolate, and peaceful. So great opportunities for some snorkeling, just a relaxing trip to get out to the South Pacific. And this tour is 11 days with 23 meals and only 1 departure this year. That's November 7th. And new, introducing this program, is the Mexican Riviera and Sea of Cortez from San Diego. So we start out by flying into San Diego, or if you're San Diego based, you can skip that and go straight to the ship. Now, in San Diego, we do a city tour, then board the beautiful MS Koningsdam with Holland America. And this is a fantastic cruise. We work our way to the ports of La Paz, Cabo San Lucas, Mazatlan, Laredo, and more. And so this is an all-encompassing trip, 13 days and 34 meals included. That's a lot of food, but you can never get enough food on a cruise ship. This trip takes off December 4th with Chris McCool. So here's just a clip to give you an intro into the ship itself, the Koningsdam. So wonderful program there. Then we also have some great partners that we work with on other cruises. First and foremost, American Queen Steamboat Company. We do the Mississippi River with them, so all different departures depending on where you want to leave from, whether it's New Orleans or Memphis, Minneapolis, and they go in all different directions. Then they also offer the Columbia River Paddle Wheeler, and this is a great program focusing not only on the Columbia, but a little bit into the Snake River. A gorgeous stretch as it goes through the Columbia River Gorge, learning all about the dams as well as the windsurfing and the Lewis and Clark expedition coming to the Pacific Ocean. Then we have several cruise partners, ocean liners, Holland America, as well as Princess. So if you're interested in booking a cruise, please give us a call, and we work with pretty much all of their destinations that they go to. As I wrap up, just wanted to touch on the specials again. First and foremost, a low-cost deposit, that is $250. So we're taking $100 off the deposit and providing less money up front to reserve your spot. We're taking $20 off the travel insurance plan. So if you book your travel insurance with your deposit, we'll take $20 off of that. And then our early booking savings. So if you're the first 10 to book on a tour, you save $100 automatically. If you're the first 11 to 20 to book, you save $75. And now through the end of February, if you're the 21st through 50th passenger, you get a $50 savings off your trip. We're also offering that one cabin category upgrade on the Burgundy and Provence River Cruise, and that can save you anywhere from $200 to $400 per person. So you book a lower category, you're automatically upgraded to the category above it. That could upgrade you a deck above, but also some great spots on board that ship. And so wonderful Amadeus Provence River Cruise. And you must use the code ABROAD by next Friday, February 24th, in order to get these great savings. So how you can book, you can email Joe, Holly, or April at afctours.com. Call us at our 858 San Diego number or 1-800 number above. You can also visit afcvacations.com and use our forms, and those are the reservation forms for both domestic as well as international trips. Just wanted to thank you all for attending today. Thanks for joining us. And if you do have any email questions, feedback about the show, or new show ideas, please email April at afctours.com. And please join us on Facebook. We have a great Facebook page that we update regularly. Thanks again, and have a wonderful day.